I am the guardian of my chapter's future. By my orders are our neophytes trained in the fine arts of conflict, in the dealing of death, the mastery of terrain, the thrust of the attack, the iron bulwark of defense, and the flow of the controlled withdrawal. On my shoulders rests the burden of ensuring my brothers are reinforced by warriors of the highest quality, worthy of the weapons they wield, the armor in which they are clad, the colors they wear, and the symbols they bear. I am my chapter's eyes and ears, and the dagger in its fist. At my behest do the vanguard deploy. By their careful data gathering and close attention to the smallest details are the most minute flaws in our foe's armor discovered. By 1,000 of their knife strokes and 1,000 of their bolt rounds are our enemies reduced to terrified, disorganized rabbles. With rapid thrusts do they pierce the heart of the foe, striking from the shadows and leaving naught but blood, terror, and devastation behind. How many times have my warriors turned the tides on battles thought lost? How many times have they crippled enemy armies, outnumbering them thousands to one? You will soon learn the answers, and you will dream of one day being a part of that martial legacy.
In the year 467 of the 40th millennium, a young Space Marine scout fought in his 23rd engagement on the ash wastes of the planet Rora. This Marine was being assessed by his scout sergeant, Galileon, who deemed the Marine worthy of consideration as a future line officer. After leading the scouts to a brilliant tactical victory against a much larger orc force, Galileon determined it was time for the Marine to become a full battle brother. He is now believed to be the oldest living Loyalist Space Marine not sustained by a dreadnought. He has been the Chapter Master of the Blood Angels for at least 1,000 years. Dante is the Warden of the Imperium Nihilus. He has fought and led his troops in battles against every major Xenos army in the galaxy. He is the Lord of Angels, and yet he began his combat training just as his brothers. He began in the Scout Marines.
Forget all your preconceptions of war, of battle lines clashing in the churned ground. Your mission is to attack before the foe even realizes the war has begun, to strike hard at those vital weaknesses that all armies possess, but that no commander will admit to. Under my tutelage, you will learn how to seek out such fragilities and smite them with every weapon at your disposal. Master these duties, and I will have nothing more to teach, and you will truly be a Space Marine.
The Space Marines of the Adeptus Astartes are the Empire's finest warriors. Wielding the most potent weapons known to mankind, they are terrifying foes, and their devotion to the Emperor and the Imperium of Man is unyielding. To survive the passing of time and the grievous losses, the Space Marines take on the defense of humanity against countless foes across the galaxy. Each chapter must recruit new warriors into its ranks. Many of these aspirants arrive to each chapter from different places, from their own home world or from distant planets. The Codex Astartes reserves the 10th company of each chapter the responsibility to train new recruits. Nearly every Space Marine begins his combat service as a scout. Many are the aspirants that want to become Space Marines, but very few are the ones that are chosen to become one. The process of selection varies from chapter to chapter, but the trials they must go through are hard, and the standards of selection are always strict and demanding, aimed at getting the most out of the aspirant. They are tested physically and mentally, Many do not pass the selection process, and in the best of cases, the failed aspirants are sent back to where they came from, with heavy hearts and broken dreams. And in the worst scenarios, their dead bodies are left to rot on unmarked graves. Regardless of their precedence, the new recruits must be chosen and inducted at a relatively young age, before their bodies become too mature to accept the many bio-implants that will eventually turn them into Space Marines. Once chosen and accepted within the ranks of their respective chapters, the recruits must undergo the genetic implantation of new organs to enhance their human capabilities, and the induction begins. The procedure of implantation is just the start, for it takes several years for the genetic implants to adapt to the new body and turn an ordinary human into a Space Marine. During those years, the warrior is known as a Space Marine Scout. He is neither fully a Space Marine nor entirely human. A Space Marine Scout has a lot to learn during this time. He must know and become acquainted with the litanies of battle and the custom rituals of their own chapter, essential to fortify him, to establish the bonds of brotherhood, and enhance his abilities. He must also grow accustomed to the many biologically engineered enhancements that are at work within his body, learning to manage his new weight and how to best use his newly gained strength. A chapter recruit who is advanced through their early training in biological transformations may hone the craft of war under the watchful eye of the veteran sergeants of the 10th Company. Under the tutelage of their sergeant, scouts are most often deployed as skirmishers and reconnaissance units. Operating deep in hostile territory, scouts set ambushes, sabotage critical enemy positions, destroy communications arrays, capture or execute enemy commanders, and generally cause as much chaos and disruption to the enemy as possible, in preparation for a full-scale attack from their wider chapter, or simply as individual operations in their own right. The scouts are trained in every aspect of combat, and are able to effectively use a vast array of weapons and war gear available to them. For if they are to become humanity's finest warriors, they therefore must be prepared to face the many dangers that encroach upon the empire of man. From the countless xenos that extend beyond reach, to the enemy within, the ever-present threat of chaos that seems to only grow with each passing day. The Space Marines have an enormous burden on their shoulders, yet they shall not falter. Only when a scout has mastered the many weapons of the Adeptus Astartes, and the techniques and skills that a fully fledged battle brother must possess, will they be allowed to move on to other positions within the chapter. The length of time a neophyte may spend in the ranks of the scout companies is entirely dependent on their abilities, as assessed by their sergeant. To be a sergeant in the scout company is to be a smith that forges the future of the chapter. Sergeants in the 10th Company typically have hundreds of years of service, and many have passed up promotion willingly, with the purpose to hone the neophytes into complete warriors, worthy of representing their chapter. There are two exceptions to the Codex Astartes scout companies. The first being the Space Wolves chapter, whose scouts are experienced battle brothers who are unsuited for service in a wolf pack due to their temperament. The second is the neophytes of the Black Templars. They have no specific company for scouts. In this case, each neophyte is apprenticed to a full battle brother and accompanies his squad into combat from the get-go. Apart from the Space Wolves and the Black Templars, the traditional usage of 10th Company scouts has proven itself to be an instrumental element of the Codex Astartes. Led by some of the most experienced veterans of their chapters, neophytes are tested and transformed in a crucible of fire. Against real enemies and performing on many crucial operations, they learn what it means to be a part of their chapter, to bleed for their brothers and the Imperium. They learn the limits of their newly transformed bodies and gene seed. They are exposed to weapons and tactics beyond count, and are required to master them all. They bleed the enemy, and they are bloodied in return. Not every Marine survives their time as a scout, but the ones who emerge from the shadows emerge as proud Space Marines, full battle brothers in service to their chapter and to the Emperor of mankind. The Codex Astartes has been revised to include reinforcements in the form of Primaris Space Marines to the Scout Company. These include Eliminators, Suppressors, Infiltrators, Incursors, and Reavers. All these are trained to perfectly use the weapons, vehicles, and equipment they employ in the field of battle, and to swiftly adapt and respond to the different situations that arise in the middle of their operations. They are deployed across hundreds of different worlds and war zones, and they know how to make the best out of every situation. Whether fighting as a support group in larger operations or working independently, they are trusted to effectively perform in a wide variety of scenarios. In addition, the Invictor tactical warsuits were designed and built to adapt to the missions these Marines take part in. It is a stripped-down version of the Redemptor Dreadnought chassis, built with the purpose to give them flexibility, but still having the power to act as line breakers and mobile bulwarks, while being able to carry the most powerful infantry-borne weapons. These warsuits are piloted by Space Marines, clad in Phobos armor, and they are linked together by plugging the Invictor machine's spirit with the warrior's autosenses. The tactical warsuit becomes then an extension of the pilot himself, granting him the flexibility and power he needs. Scout squads are more lightly armored in comparison to full battle brothers. Neophytes are typically sent into combat wearing only infiltrator armor, which consists of overlapping plates of ceramite that cover the vital organs, while the rest of the body is covered with ballistic nylon thread. While scout armor does not offer the same protection as true power armor, it is much quieter and ideal for the commando operations that scouts are most often engaged in. Their protection can block or deflect bullets, kinetic rounds, and shrapnel alike. Camouflage is another war gear option the scouts use in some instances. It is known that Space Marines rarely use any form of camouflage. It's oftentimes to throw themselves straight at the enemy with full force, with their very presence filling the enemy with terror and shock. In the specific operations that require camouflage, there are a number of approved patterns by the Codex Astartes that are available to the scouts, suitable for any situation. With their understanding of the environment ahead and their mastery of concealment tactics, they can strike hard at the enemy, accomplish their objective, and retreat to safety before any real opposition or retaliation can be mustered. The Astartes M40A1 pattern sniper rifle is a deadly precision weapon that fits the tactical role of the scouts. Enemy leaders, revolutionaries, key figures, and many strategic targets have been silenced with a single, well-placed shot of this sniper rifle. Used by capable Marines, these weapons provide almost infallible accuracy, as a low-powered beam of invisible laser light guides the chemical dart to its intended destination. Even in the case that the target is protected by armor or behind cover, the beam automatically pulses when the rifle is fired, punching a tiny hole which allows the small dart to penetrate. Once inside, it releases a neurotoxin chemical that quickly does its deadly work within the victim's body. But this is not the only option the snipers have at their disposal. It is known that the Eliminators' bolt sniper rifles can fire a number of types of deadly munitions, ideal for every situation. Also paired with customizable scopes, the snipers can fire deadly rounds of miniature self-guided missiles, called executioner rounds, perfect for eliminating single targets, even when they are undercover or heavily armored. For the times that there are many enemies to be dealt with, hyper-frag rounds are best for the job. These rounds explode in a hail of lacerating shards that shred infantry apart. Hordes of poxwalkers have been laid low, and thousands of cultists and traitors have perished under the explosions of well-placed hyper-frag rounds. For close encounters, the scouts are still well equipped. The Stalker pattern bolt pistol and the Raven pattern shotgun are deadly weapons that have been modified to be silent when firing, and a flash hider has also been installed, ideal for the covert operations the scouts take part in. The masterfully applied modifications do not compromise in the firing power of these deadly weapons. These and other pieces of war gear and weaponry are used by the Space Marine Scouts in thousands of operations across the galaxy. Upon promotion from the 10th Company, these Scouts become full battle brothers and receive their first suit of power armor and respective weapons and position within the chapter, becoming a fully trained Space Marine, ready to face any challenge and any foe the galaxy may throw at them. If you are ready for some Scouts action, we can safely recommend the audio drama called Taker of Heads, written by Ian St. Martin. More than an hour of deadly war in the jungles of Atlan await for those interested. We have included the link to the Black Library in the description below. Thank you for watching. On this channel, we are putting together narrative Total War cinematic battles and Warhammer lore videos. A special thank you goes to our Patreon supporters who help us in the making of more content. You can also join Patreon and earn extra perks while supporting the videos to come. Find the link in the description below. Make sure to subscribe, and thank you for watching. See you on the next one.